So that idea that wrap it up with ice that I've always done, and I've always taught, and when I was in sports medicine, even the first years in chiropractic is, hey, you got pain, ice it. But the truth is when you have an injured area, you have pain, heat it. All right, so we're going to talk about inflammation, and inflammation is such a cool concept. As you can see, we're driving, and so I'll be obviously not staring at the phone, I'll be staring at the road. But I want to talk about inflammation today because this is something that really goes back to every health concern that we have in our country right now when it comes to heart disease, cancer, diabetes, everything, really. I mean, lifestyle diseases, autoimmune diseases, things like that. It all goes back to inflammation. And this is the one thing about inflammation is across the board with doctors, whether you're a medical doctor, whether you're a chiropractor, whether you're a dentist, it doesn't matter what kind of healthcare professional you are. We all agree on that one thing, is that inflammation really is a big player in most health problems. And so if it's such a big deal, and with in our clinic and with the Wellness Way, we talk a lot about inflammation. We talk about how we do inflammation workshops regularly. Actually, I'm doing one tomorrow night. And by the way, if you really want to dive into inflammation and just figure out what's going on with your health and learn more, come to those workshops. We do them in office, in person, and you can learn a ton at those workshops. They're really, really awesome. So just connect with us on that if you want to learn more about it. But when it comes to inflammation, understanding that inflammation, this is a secret I want to tell you guys, inflammation is actually very, very important, essential part of our life. We actually have to have it. It's normal. It's something we need to have to live. Even to the basic, every day when you wake up, you're actually different than you were yesterday. Your cells are constantly dying off and new cells are being replaced. So you have cell replication happening, and throughout that cell replication process is actually an inflammatory process. There's inflammation taking place because it's a normal process in our body. It's part of an immune response that our body uses to help cells replicate, to fight off foreign invaders, to heal our body. So we've all seen someone with a swollen ankle, torn muscle, all those things. And at the end of the day, those things are inflammatory responses, that swelling. And so we've always been taught this, and even for myself, if you don't know, my undergraduate degree was in sports medicine. So in sports medicine, inflammation is kind of like your thing that we're focusing on for injury repair and healing. And we were taught this method called RICE. And you've probably heard of this before, but it's if you have an injured athlete, or even after exercising or working out, you RICE. You rest, you ice, you compress, and you elevate. And the whole goal is to get rid of or reduce inflammation. And the idea is that if we reduce inflammation, it's not going to hurt as bad and it's going to recover. But even the guy, I forget his name, it starts with a W, but a doctor who years ago who came up with this RICE method, you can Google who came up with the RICE method and get his name. But even this same guy later on kind of said that, hey, I don't know if I was quite right there, because we're actually going against the body's natural healing processes. Okay, because our body, when it creates inflammation, it's trying to heal you, right? It's trying to get rid of a foreign invader, whether it's a virus or bacteria or any kind of pathogen. It's trying to get rid of, or trying to heal muscle tear. So if you work out and you lift weights, you run, or any of those things, you're going to break down muscles. And then the idea is it comes back stronger, right? That's inflammation is a part of that process. If we're just simply trying to get rid of the inflammation and stop that process by covering it up with ice, putting ice on it, it actually decreases healing time. Increases the healing time. So it takes longer for your body to actually heal. So that idea that wrap it up with ice that I've always done, and I've always taught, and when I was in sports medicine, even the first years in chiropractic is, hey, you got pain, ice it. But the truth is when you have an injured area, you have pain, heat it. I would say get out of, when you're done working out, sit in the sauna. When you're done working out, sit in the hot tub. And you actually want to help inflammation get to that area. If you have a sprained ankle, let your body get swollen, let your ankle swell, let the inflammation process do its job. It actually heats up. You notice there's an increased temperature. Part of your normal innate intelligence in your body to get rid of a pathogen or to heal a torn tissue area is a fever. It's increasing the temperature in that area. So it's actually an important thing that we have that increased temperature. So it's kind of counterintuitive or counterculture, I guess you could say, when it comes to healthcare, because we've always been taught the RICE method is the way to go. So knowing that inflammation, I'm starting out big on this because I want you to know that it's not a bad thing that your body creates inflammation. Now, with that said, knowing that inflammation is a good thing, in our world today with the foods that we eat, right, the sad American diet, right? We call it the SAD American diet, the standard American diet, SAD. With that kind of diet, with inflammatory foods like sugars and bad fats and bad oils and all these other additives and preservatives and chemicals in our food, with chemicals in the air, with stress of sitting all day long and not moving enough, with car accidents and injuries, with emotional stresses, those create stress response in the body that cause inflammatory responses. With all those happening, we live in a chronic inflammatory state, a chronic stress state, which creates chronic inflammation. And so knowing that chronic inflammation, even though your body is doing its best to make it through the day and all those things, and inflammation is a normal response of your body, that chronic inflammation is now actually starting to cause problems. When you're chronically inflamed, right, we know this, that, look, high cholesterol doesn't cause heart disease. Let me just say that again. High cholesterol does not cause heart disease. There's no study on the planet that says high cholesterol causes heart disease. There's actually multiple studies that show that people with low cholesterol have a higher rate of heart attacks. And the reason of this is because, look, inflammation causes heart disease. When your arteries are inflamed, when your body's inflamed, your body produces more cholesterol, or should produce more cholesterol if it's working properly, because you need to produce more hormones. You need to produce more cortisol, more cortisone. Cortisone is your body's strongest anti-inflammatory, so your cholesterol is going to go up because you can't produce cortisone or cortisol, which turns to cortisone. You can't produce that without cholesterol. It is a huge factor. You have to have it to produce any hormone, including those steroidal hormones and things like that, like cortisol and cortisone. So if you're inflamed, your body's going to increase cholesterol, and that's a firefighter in your body. Cholesterol is something that actually gets rid of inflammation and helps your body, but medicine looks at it and says, nope, high cholesterol, that's the cause. That's kind of like going to a house fire, and saying the firefighters caused the fire, let's get rid of them. That doesn't even make sense. And so, but that's the only thing they have to medicate, so that's what they test for. And so that's a side note, but at the end of the day, inflammation is something that's causing a lot of our health issues. And so the question we want to ask, and this is, if you go to your doctor and let's say you have an inflammatory issue like, let's say inflammatory bowel syndrome or colitis, ulcerative colitis, or maybe it's an autoimmune response where your body is creating an immune response, creating inflammation towards the tissues in your body, because there's some sort of a foreign object or invader in there. Maybe it's heavy metals in the thyroid and your body's attacking the thyroid, whatever that is, right? And so your body's creating this inflammation response. You go to your doctor and he said, okay, you have high inflammation. You have the markers for an autoimmune response. You have ANA markers for lupus or whatever the marker is for whatever autoimmune response you have. And they said, okay, we need to do a steroid. We need to do something to get down the inflammation. Let's block this inflammatory response because we know inflammation is the problem, right? They're thinking right? Inflammation might be the problem. Let's get rid of it. So they give you that steroid, and we've all heard of this, or some of you might have been through this, or they say, hey, take an ibuprofen to kill that inflammation. They tell you that when you have a sprained ankle, take an ibuprofen to stop your body's natural inflammatory response. And so you do those things, and the inflammation goes down. Everything seems better, feels better. Maybe the symptoms go away. Maybe your testing shows less inflammation. And what is the doctor going to tell you? What are you going to think? Hey, great job, doc. You knew the answer. You knew to give me an anti-inflammatory drug, and now my body's healthy again. Wrong. To me, that is deception. Because the truth is the lack of that drug, the lack of that synthetic version of cortisone, right, which your body naturally produces anyways, that lack of that ibuprofen was not the cause of your body being inflamed. So your body's still going to go back to inflammation at some point, probably sooner than later. And so you never actually got rid of the cause. So the body's inflamed again. Now your rate of heart disease, or increased risk of heart disease, cancers, diabetes, all those things are right back up. And so what are we going to take another steroid? You're just going to live on steroids? The problem is that steroids suppress your immune response. Leads to cancers, lead to other things. And so we don't want to do that. So what do you do? And it starts with asking the right questions. Right now we're not asking the right questions. Right now the question is, how do I get rid of inflammation? Well, that's easy. Take a drug. Instead, why don't we say, why is my body chronically creating an inflammatory response? Let me say that question again. This is the question you want to ask your doctor, and they need to start finding answers to this. Why is my body creating a chronic inflammatory response? I had a little boy that came in yesterday. I think he's 7 or 8 years old, and was referred in from another mom whose child had come into us with ADD and gotten great results. And so this mom and her son come in, and she started talking to me about him and said, he has pain all over his body, like really tender, just to the touch all the time, knee pains, plantar fasciitis, foot pains. And so I'm just, as she's talking, all I'm thinking is, man, this child is very inflamed. And when he was younger, he had an issue where he started throwing up blood. And so she went to the doctor, of course, and we rushed him to the doctor, and they couldn't figure out why he was throwing up blood, so they just started pumping him full of antibiotics. And this is it, guys. I hate to get frustrated. I hate to be frustrated, but this is it right here, is why that doesn't make sense. We have no answer, so we just give you an antibiotic. Why does medicine do that? We have no answer, so we're just going to kill your bacteria. That's like, we have no answer, so I'm just going to weaken your body. And hopefully you'll start to get better. They're like, it's shooting in the dark. It blows my mind that they do this. So they have no answers. Baby's coughing out blood, so they give them antibiotics. Tons of antibiotics. They can't ever figure out what's causing the problem. And then eventually, you know what they found out? The mom had broken vessels in her breasts, and the breast milk had blood in it. So he's coughing the blood up. So it's a perfectly healthy baby, doing all the right things, coughing up, throwing the blood back up because it shouldn't be in his digestive system, doing everything right, body's working perfectly, and now they pump him full of antibiotics. And this is a baby born at home. And so after he's been pumped full of antibiotics, he starts having all these ear infections, so he's getting more antibiotics. Instead of finding the cause of the ear infections, pump him full of more antibiotics. So now this little boy has had all these antibiotics throughout his life, and he has all these health issues, and many of these health issues, I can tell you right now without even doing testing yet, are going to stem back to digestive problems from a very poor microbiome in his gut, creating inflammation throughout his whole body. And plus he's got, a diet like many other kids, a South American diet, and so it's going to create inflammation. And so he came in, and my first thought is, and I said this to his mom, I was like, he's definitely inflamed, I can tell you that. All his symptoms go back to that. So that's the first thing. But the second thing is we need to find out why. So we need to start investigating. So I'm going to look at his stressors, and I'm going to look at how his body's handling stress. So I'll look at his nervous system first. The first thing we did is we looked at x-rays of his spine. I did a spinal evaluation, looked at range of motion. He had lack of range of motion in a certain direction. His posture was way off. Forward head posture, started to build a hump in his back at that age already. And so we took x-rays, and you could see the problems in his x-rays. You could see the actual inflammation in his gut. So I know he has inflammation in his digestive system. We're going to do a stool test. We're going to do a food allergy test. And then from there, when we get all that information back, now we have some answers. And I can almost promise you we're going to find inflammation in the gut. We already know we have spinal problems, so we're going to start him on chiropractic care. And I think just from the chiropractic portion, his body's going to start handling stress really well. He's going to start digesting food better. He's going to see symptom changes just from that. But now we're going to help with the digestive system. We're going to get rid of the inflammation from the foods that he's eating by doing food allergy testing and get him to follow that in the eating plan. And you put all those things together, and now we're addressing the cause of inflammation. And it's not that hard. Now, so if you're listening right now and you're like, hey, I want to figure out if I'm inflamed, if I have inflammation in my body, here's what you do. Is we can test. You can actually test if you have systemic inflammation. Now, these markers aren't always 100%. Sometimes they will be low and you're still inflamed. But if they're high, we know there's inflammation. So if you want to talk to your doctor, ask them to check your CRP levels, your C-reactive protein levels, and see, are those high? Your necrosis factor alpha, check that. Let's see if that's high, and that tells you you're having a constant immune response, right? The ESR responses can be as well, but they're not 100%. Again, they can be low and you still be inflamed, but if we find those high, we know there's inflammation, and we know that we need to start investigating and finding out why. So once we can figure out it's there, maybe it's based on symptoms, maybe it's based on testing, then we start to investigate. And I would say the best place to start looking is to start looking at the physical stressors in the body, the spine and the nervous system. The second in the body, car accidents, injuries, falls, if they sit all day long. The second is to actually do a stool test and look at the digestive system, and a food allergy test, because those are some simple things we can get out right away. So when we start to talk about inflammation, at the end of the day, it's your body's normal immune response that's become overactive because of your lifestyle, right? These lifestyle changes. And so the answer is figure out why, find the cause, and then start making those changes, and then help your body handle stressors. And over time, your body will heal itself. The coolest part about our bodies is they are healing machines. They want to get back to balance. They want to get back to homeostasis and health. And so if your body is unhealthy and inflamed, it's trying. It's working to get back there. Let's support it. Let's find out what it's trying to do and what stressors are keeping it from getting there, and answer those. That's your answer for inflammation. That's what I believe the answer for inflammation is. And so, guys, if that clicks, if that made sense, do something different. Don't just go to your doctor and do the same old thing over and over again. do something different. My recommendation is go, if you're in Charlotte, come see us. We'll help you. Go to queencityhealthcenter.com. We'll help you there. If you're in some other area, you can look us up, talk to us on the phone. Maybe we can help you that way. Or go to thewellnessway.com and find a doctor in your area that you can connect with, and they'll do the right testing. These are doctors that are looking for the cause of your health problem, not just saying, hey, you have inflammation, let's get a steroid. Let's actually find the root cause of your pain. Let's find the root cause of your autoimmune disease. Let's figure out why you have migraine headaches, whatever the symptom is, right? It's because those are just symptoms. Those are just your body's warning sign telling you there's a problem. We need to do something about it. So shift the way we think by asking different questions. Why is my body doing this? Instead of what can I do to get rid of it? All right. Hey guys, if you want to join this mission with us to really change the way people view, change the way they manage their health, do that. Do that by sharing this video. Do that by liking this video. Do that by sharing the stuff that we're putting out there. We also have a podcast. You can go, Owning Your Health is the name of the podcast. Great stories, great information on there as well. Just continue to connect. I found the best way to become healthy is to continually research, and start act upon what you're learning. All right. Hey, you guys have an awesome day. We'll talk to you next time.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. If you want to connect with us and learn more, we're constantly shooting videos. We actually have a blog as well, and we have a website where you can learn so much more. If you want help with your health, you can actually connect with us, come into our clinic, or jump on a phone call with us and see if we can help you. To do that, go to the links below in the information area and click those areas, and then you can move forward and see how we can actually address and help you with your health issues as well.